Welcome to today's session on enterprise-grade connected assets, focused on IoT analytics. We're lucky today to have Nick Van Dam, Director of Products for Cumulocity. My name is Alex Graw, Senior Product Marketing Manager for Cumulocity, and I'll be your host today. Before we get started, I have just a few housekeeping items to address. So first of all, we will have a Q&A later in the session, so please add your questions to the chat as they come up. We will answer as many questions as possible at the end. Additionally, at the close of the session, there's going to be a brief survey asking for your feedback on the webinar, and we'd appreciate it if you can fill that out. It'll help us in developing future programming. Share my screen. All right. So the past decade has seen perceptions of industrial IoT go from a lab experiment to a hyped magic bullet, and finally to its rightful place today as a foundation for mainstream digital services. For the makers of commercial, industrial, and medical equipment, IoT solutions are becoming the rule rather than the exception. With investments in IoT growing at exponential rates, OEMs that cannot provide their customers with real-time visibility into the operating performance are at risk of being permanently displaced. At the same time, however, we've seen that the time it takes to get IoT-connected products to market has nearly doubled, from less than 2 years to nearly 3.5 years. As digital services move from a project to a product, it increases the complexity of the deployments and the use cases for the technology. A developing regulatory environment and a constantly evolving universe of cybersecurity threats also increases the complexity and extends development timelines. As deployments scale up to the enterprise level, there becomes a greater need for an enterprise-grade platform to manage the entire solution. So what do we mean by enterprise-grade? So at Cumulocity, we have identified 6 core capabilities that we feel are critical to ease the building, deploying, and scaling of digital solutions. The first is device connectivity and management at scale. The second, data management. The third, the focus of today, is analytics. IoT analytics includes a range of techniques, including rule engines, event stream processing, data visualization, and machine learning, that together contribute to the successful and scalable IoT solutions. So a platform has to be able to incorporate all of these techniques into the solution. Then we also see some additional topics that we will cover in later sessions around being able to integrate with any architecture or system, application enablement and management, and being able to deploy from the edge to the cloud. So again, to better explain these core capabilities, we've prepared a series of webinars over the rest of 2024 to highlight each of the topics. Again, the next session will happen in October and we'll focus on integration. But today, we are fortunate to have a presentation from Nick on best practices for utilizing IoT data and advanced analytics to inform decision-making. And again, once the presentation is complete, Nick will address any questions. So please go ahead and share your questions in the chat as they come up. So over to you, Nick.
Thank you, Alex. So let me move over to my beginning slide. Can you see the first slide appearing, Alex?
Yeah, I can see the slide that says enterprise-grade IoT analytics.
Yeah, there it is for me as well. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining, whether you're listening in live today or whether you're watching at a recording. So my name is Nick Van Damme. I'm the Director of Products for IoT analytics at Cumulocity IoT. And today we want to dive deeper into how analytics can make your IoT solution smarter. So every one of you knows, I guess knows the depiction on the right, turning data into insights. When your devices, your machines are actioned by your customers, they generate data. And as such, every equipment that you've manufactured and sold is a potential mega source of data-driven insights into how your products are actually being used and how ultimately your business can be improved. Unfortunately, the road to successfully extract those insights is often perceived as difficult or challenging. Even more so when you want to get insights from your connected products at scale. Whether it's a fleet of a few thousand very complex equipments, such as wind turbines or compressors, or whether it's a fleet of 1,000,000 devices with a limited complexity, such as trucks or elevators or refrigeration devices, to name just a few categories. Today, we want to inspire you how you can make your IoT analytics a success thanks to our enterprise-grade platform. Today, we also want to illustrate that your analytics use cases can work irrespective of the IoT maturity of the company. And as such, we have chosen to link our storyline to the various stages of IoT maturity. Whether you're in an initial stage with remote monitoring, where the emphasis is on getting transparency into equipment usage, or whether it's stage 2 with smart field services or performance management, where the emphasis is on generating insights to improve customer experience based on the data that you unlock. Or whether it's stage 3 with digital services, where the emphasis shifts from doing things better to doing new things, because you now have access to a wide area of the range of data. Doing something with the data is a recurring theme in each of those maturity stages. And today I want to show you the road to success with analytics to get value out of the data that you're collecting with IoT. So without further ado, let's dive into the first maturity stage, being remote monitoring, where it's about capturing the sensor data from your machines, understanding the machine condition and usage across your fleet of equipment, such that you as a machine builder can use this information to improve your current product generation, as well as use this information to improve the future product generations. Typical interesting metrics or KPIs involved in this stage are the identified usage patterns of your customers, whether your customer is operating the machine inside or outside the specification that you put forward. Things like the typical number of operating hours. And of course, these things not just at the level of one individual machine, but aggregated over a subset of your fleet, or maybe even an entire generation of your machines. One of our customers, Maekawa, which is a manufacturing company with a worldwide presence that specializes in industrial and cooling and heating systems, has been leveraging our Cumulocity platform to learn more about the actual usage of their equipment, and in such a way was really able to improve their product to better fit to the needs of their customers. So, question now is, how can you, similarly to Maekawa, build up these required insights? Well, to reflect on how Cumulocity can support you with this, let's take a look at this high-level architectural diagram. On the left, you have your connected equipment, who is providing machine data, and potentially some of your business applications providing additional context. So with Cumulocity, you can do some inbound data preparation. If the slide wants to move forward. Let's hope it comes in a second. And so with Cumulocity, you can do some inbound data processing. Think of harmonization of the data that you get from different device generations, or maybe doing some some data cleansing in order to ensure that the data that you are receiving is meeting your meeting your expectations in terms of data quality. And then you can leverage our streaming analytics capabilities to access that incoming data and to transform the machine data into the metrics or KPIs that we've just talked about. I like the number of operating hours or the time spent outside of specification limits. The Cumulocity platform comes with a number of ready-to-go applications to support you with this. Really fit towards the complexity of your use cases as well as the skill set of your teams. With smart rules, your product development teams can have a wizard-driven approach that covers basic scenarios. In case of more extensive KPI calculations, the more analytics skilled members of your team who prefer a pro-code approach can work with our EPL app tooling. But what I really want to highlight in today's session is our pre-built analytics builder application, which offers, let's say, the best of both worlds. It's on the one hand side a user-friendly interface, but on the other hand side also very powerful because it's based on pre-built configurable blocks that are really aimed at delivering you the remote monitoring insights that you want. So let's show that in a small demonstration.
Hey, sorry about that. I think we were having some audio difficulties on the demo there. So why don't we move forward and we'll see if we can come back to that at another point.
So yeah, just to recap a little bit, what I wanted to demonstrate in the demo was, let's say, how easy it is to use analytics builder, but still have powerful capabilities, which really make it possible for you to easily access the data from your connected devices, then use some of the inbuilt blocks to do both basics and more advanced calculations just by wiring those blocks together, and then create new measurements which allow you to remotely monitor how your devices are operated in the field. So now we have mastered the first case in terms of remote monitoring. We want to make a next step and move towards use cases on smarter field services and performance management. Here, the focus is, of course, again on capturing sensor data and monitoring the machine usage, like we achieved in the previous stage. But now we want to extend that towards more advanced, smarter data related to performance insights or even prediction, such that you can provide actionable information to either your field service organization to help them improve the quality of their service and reduce the cost of their service, or to your clients and to allow them to optimize the usage of your machines while they are in their operation. So typically interesting metrics or KPIs involved in this stage could be things like remaining useful lifetime, equipment performance, think of uptime, or more holistically, overall equipment effectiveness, or OEE. But also things which are more sustainability related metrics, such as energy efficiency, to, for example, help improve the energy bill of your customers. A second customer example that I wanted to highlight here is Flexco, who is a leading industrial conveyor belt products and services company that focuses just on one thing, which is maximizing the conveyor belt uptime for their clients. Also taking into account safety in terms of the industrial applications that they're serving. Think which can range from very remote mining operations to agricultural and many other applications. Flexco leverages our Cumulocity platform to allow their clients to really move from reactive or preventive maintenance strategies towards predictive maintenance. So again, here the question is, how can you, similarly to Flexco, go to this stage of use cases? It's important to keep in mind that the difference with the previous stage is that these metrics and insights are not solely relying on live data coming from the machines, but they include some kind of benchmark or learning based on historical data from that same machine or a similar machine. And that is typically the area where AI and machine learning comes in. So in the current era, where it's all about optimization and efficiency, AI is currently really emerging as a kind of a game-changing tool to tackle these challenges, because it really can recognize multidimensional patterns much better than we humanly can, leading to quicker and more accurate insights. Yet behind those impressive capabilities of AI, there are two fundamental truths that should not be forgotten. On the one hand side, it's without data, there just cannot be AI. You really need access to the data and a proper IoT data management strategy to ensure that your machine data is ready to be used for your IoT use cases. And two, you can have the biggest data lakes and extraordinary compute power and even the most advanced AI and machine learning algorithms, but still achieve little to no tangible value. And that is because those insights that you're generating, they need to be operationalized to really drive value. And those two areas are exactly areas where Cumulocity can play a vital role to ensure your success with AI. So to reflect how Cumulocity can support you with this, let's take a look again at this high-level architecture picture. So in that, it's the one from the previous stage where the focus was on capturing the device data in real time and then transforming it with streaming analytics. Now, here, the focus is on the first enabling step is to retain your data for longer periods of time, which can be achieved. And if the slide moves forward, then you should also see the animation. That can be achieved by our data hub tooling that allows to offload your data to a more cost-efficient storage layer for long-term storage. I won't go into too much detail today on the capabilities of Data Hub, because you've seen some of them already in the previous episode of the Enterprise Grade series on data management. Today, I rather highlight some of the other capabilities of Data Hub, which is about blending in other data from within that same blending in other data from that same historical data store, But also Data Hub allows you to define views on top of your data, to prepare it in the right format, and then to efficiently query the data from the historical store to bring it in the right place, in the right hands. And that can be your preferred business intelligence tool, such as a Microsoft Power BI or an AWS QuickSight or Tableau, but also your preferred data science and machine learning workbench, such as an Azure Machine Learning Studio, Amazon SageMaker, IBM Watson AI, or any kind of open source tooling of choice. In other words, we want you to leverage your existing investments in analytics tooling, and we don't want to prescribe you a particular solution that we can, we don't want to prescribe you a particular solution. But of course, we can help you with any kind of solution thanks to the partners in our ecosystem. As I highlighted before, be aware that the job is not done yet with generating the historical insights. We only have a part of the value that we can achieve. If we go one step further, that's where the real value comes. It's with the operationalization of those historical insights. When we close the loop onto the live incoming IoT data and switch from historical insight generation to real-time insight generation, that's really the point where your field service organization can improve their operations and where your clients can improve the performance of their process. And here again, you see the streaming analytics tooling come into play to support you in operationalizing your machine learning model for example, identifying abnormal operating regimes. And also here, I prepared a small demo. Here you see a kind of illustration of what we're doing. So you see the SageMaker Studio interface and a Python script that takes care of loading in certain stretches of data from which has been uploaded. And what we then do here is a kind of pre-processing and then performing actual training, which you see being launched over here. And after a few iterations, we now have a trained model that will help us to distinguish normal from abnormal behavior. Once that model is trained, we move over to a deployment phase. In this example, SageMaker Studio allows us to leverage some inbuilt libraries to load it into a bucket, import it into SageMaker again, and create an endpoint that can be called from within Cumulocity finally. So this is a small pro code setup of the model. And then finally, let's move over to another screen inside of SageMaker, and then you will see, there we go, an overview of inference endpoints that are created inside SageMaker. And we see that the inference endpoint that we just created is active, and next to that you see a unique URL that can be used to send data for live inferencing. So this is a first set of setup, and with that, let's go back to Cumulocity and the Analytics Builder interface, where you see in the middle the box where all of the orchestration magic happens, taking care of the communication. So as new data will be coming into the application, there's a bit of pre-processing, data is sent to SageMaker for inferencing, and then we turn that into a new measurement, for example, an anomaly status. And then that result, that important piece of insight, can then be leveraged inside what you see over here, a Cumulocity dashboard that you can present to your field service teams or to your customers to give them insights into the health status of the connected equipment. And so in this case, you can see that it's not being done for just one equipment or one device. You see a dashboard with immediately a multitude of anomaly scores for a multitude of devices. And so this also shows how with Cumulocity you can achieve your insights at scale. With one deployed machine learning model, you could use that to do the scoring for all of your connected assets, and in such a way, by leveraging the fact that we can handle with templates, can do that instantiation for all of the relevant assets and scale up your analysis to multiple assets. Okay, so then if we go back to the slides, we can go to the key takeaways for today. So what I wanted to leave you with is that analytics plays an important role along the IoT maturity curve, because analytics capabilities really form the basis for your successful remote monitoring, smart field services, and performance management use cases. And don't let that scare you away. The road to success with analytics is less challenging than it might appear. And certainly with Cumulocity, we have a number of pre-built applications that really help you to get towards your remote monitoring insights and much more. Secondly, in the current era where it's all about optimization and efficiency, AI promises to be a game changer. And AI cannot work without the data. And this is, of course, where, again, IoT comes in. And with Cumulocity, you have a platform where you can combine the powers of AI and IoT by not only preparing the data and making it available to your data science workbenches, but also, as I try to illustrate in the demo, allow you to operationalize your models on new incoming data and truly deliver value. And lastly, Cumulocity IoT doesn't only get you started, it also supports you in scaling your requirements to large amounts of devices with some of the built-in concepts, as I showed you during at least the final demonstration, but also in the first demo video, there was an example of that scaling potential. So with that, I'm at the end of my storyline.
Yeah, we can go ahead and we'll stop sharing the presentation so we can move into the Q&A portion. Again, if you have any further questions, go ahead and add them to the chat over on the right. Looks like we have one question from Vinay. Vinay is a performance engineer and lead, and he wants to know more about the IoT performance capability of this tool. So I think that to get into specifics, we probably need a little bit more detail on what you mean by IoT performance capabilities. But Nick, can you kind of talk generally about the performance capabilities within Cumulocity, and then we can, if Vinay can add a little more detail, we can get into some of the specifics.
Yeah, as you're hinting towards being a performance engineer, so where Cumulocity as an IoT platform can help you with is really getting access towards the data of your connected equipment, and in such a way, not only just be connected and know whether your machine is online or offline, but also being able to get all of the interesting data points, all of the interesting measurements from your devices. Think, for example, about pressure measurements, temperature measurements, torque measurements, etc. And also in combination with I would call it environmental information like temperature, outside temperature, humidity, etc. And all of those factors typically can give you a good image of how your equipment that's deployed in the field is currently working out what the performance is of your equipment in the field. And in such a way, link that back towards what your expectation is of the performance of your equipment and the field, and do a bit of a compare and contrast analysis to identify hey, is that now normal behavior? Is that abnormal behavior? And based on that, try and, yeah, depending on your use case, get more insights. And like I tried to explain, initially your typical use cases that we see with our customers are about remote monitoring and just getting the insights of how it's being used, what is the performance in the field. But if we see when we see our customers maturing along their use cases and they go towards not just internal facing use cases, but also external facing use cases, towards, for example, the field service teams or towards their end customers, then you could also start giving those back towards customer, showing that those things, those performance criteria back towards the customers, and really first-handedly shared those insights to the customer.
It looks like we've gotten some more information from Vinay. The situations he's talking about involve connecting thousands of devices to the platform and being able to collect the data and monitor those endpoints. And yeah, I mean, that's definitely something that we see as being kind of fundamental to being an enterprise grade IoT platform, is that ability to manage devices in bulk and at scale. And as it relates to Cumulocity specifically, that's really an area that we've invested pretty heavily in our device management capabilities. And the first episode in this series really goes into a lot more detail, but certainly that through our bulk device management interface, I mean, we have customers that are, managing in the millions of devices globally pretty seamlessly. So but that's obviously one of the huge differences between IoT as a project versus IoT as a real solution that's scalable. Is how do you go from managing a handful or a dozen endpoints to managing thousands or millions that are located at different sites across the globe? And that's really a big area where we feel like platforms really establish themselves as what it means to be enterprise grade, and that's a big area of focus for us at Cumulocity. Let's see, we have another question from Anthony. Does Software AG have a list of clients and verticals that Cumulocity is prioritizing? So I can address this one. That I think that we view Cumulocity as the technology as being kind of broadly applicable for IoT use cases. The areas where we have seen, I think, some of our greatest success is really within working with the makers of OEMs of different equipment who are trying to make their equipment smart and build out digital services that they can offer as new revenue streams for their customers. So we're really focused on the industrial, commercial, medical device spaces. Within those spaces, the use cases are very broad. Obviously, we work with medical device companies, as I mentioned. You heard about Flexco, that's providing conveyor belts that are used in mining equipment. We have customers that are monitoring elevators that are deployed in commercial buildings across the world. So you can see more on our website, but kind of the use cases within that equipment monitoring standpoint are very, very broad, I would say. I don't know, Nick, if there's anything specific you want to add to that.
No, I think you nicely outlined some of the verticals that we're active in, and like you said, it's a wide variety where we have typically a number of use cases in the areas of remote monitoring, performance insights, etc.
All right, and I see that there are some questions around getting in touch to have further discussions one-on-one, I've just dropped my email into the chat. So if Vinay or anyone else would like to reach out, we can set something up, and I'll make sure we have the right subject matter experts on that call to have that discussion. Looks like we don't have any other questions at this point. So again, I want to thank you all for attending, and thank you all for the engaging questions. I think that really helped make the session more valuable for everyone. Thank you, Nick, for your time and expertise in taking us through this very important topic. I hope to see you all on our next webinar in October on integration. And thank you all, and have a great rest of your day.